we welcome you as a world leader recognized and honored for your peaceful leadership, your wisdom and spiritual authority. As such, you play an eminent role as outspoken spiritual and political leader. You also manifest a keen interest in science and its impact on human condition. Understanding of science, this seems to be one of your positions. Understanding of science is going to be crucial for the future. And we need to train every new generation in science. But at the same time, we need to train them also in leadership and responsibility. And for this, the best way to train them in this is to have credible, visible leaders. And you, Your Holiness, you are an outstanding role model for leadership and responsibility.
Oh. Now, you, the generation whose age below 30, 20, you are truly generation of this 21st century. Now, past is past only for memory, and sometimes because the memory sometimes joyful, sometimes painful, but in any way is past. Now future, although no guarantee, but you see there is always possibility still open, whether the remaining 21st century can be or will be happier one or full of problems. This century should be century of peace. Peace means we must sort of, whenever we face some problem, we must think, we must sort of react or dialogue. That's the only way. So I often telling, 20th century becomes century of violence, century of war. Now this 21st century should be century of dialogue. So now, these young people think these things. So you have the responsibility, you see, whether create happy world or miserable world, that's up to you. Please think very seriously about these things. Now, I think a source of conflict, perhaps source of conflict or potential of conflict, I think will increase, as you mentioned now. The population increasing. I think few weeks ago, so I heard through BBC, some expert mentioned now, within this century, end of this century, human population will reach 10 billions. Then also, the gap rich and poor. Not only global level, but also national level, there's serious gap there. This not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. We have to think seriously how to reduce this gap, rich and poor. So that means not some of the communist sort of practice, all wealthy people eliminate and everybody remain poor. Not that way. The poorer section of people's, their living standard, their sort of economy must improve. So then the question of the nature resources. I think eventually, we will, because of the increase this use solar energy, solar power. This, I think, very good, very good. So technology there. So then they spend more money instead of building warship or as the military sort of aircraft, these things, or making gun. So they spend more money and those scientific or technology, they are sort of expertise is use some kind of constructive work. So these are very serious matter. Then on top of that, global warming. That also quite serious. So nature disaster, I think, will increase. So this 21st century may not be a very smooth century, or in any way, you can't take for granted, this century will be your progress or development, these will grow and take for granted. You should not do that. You should not feel that way. Problem bound to happen. Now the problem, most cases, global level problem, ecology, different nations, beyond the individual nations, because of the power or something, like global economy, beyond national boundary. So that compared to us, we have to think humanity rather than European or Asian, African, Latin American. But we have to think humanity, global level. Because the problem, humanity, global level. So two individual nations cannot solve this problem. So we have to think the humanity as a whole, global level. So now here we need sense of global responsibility. And that on the basis of realization, oneness of humanity. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. 7 billion human beings. Completely same. Mentally, emotionally, physically. So everybody wants happy life, do not want suffering. And everybody have right, equal right to achieve happy life. Then we are social animal. One individual sort of future entirely depends on the rest of the humanity. Humanity, firstly, individuals' future depend on the community. One community's future depends on the bigger community or national level or then global level. So basically, humanity, the future of humanity, bright, good, individual get maximum benefit. Global level, some disasters happen. Individual cannot escape from that. So therefore, I always see telling or expressing, these now time come, we have to think about sort of global level rather than my nation, my continent, or like that. So the reality, now here, the reality much changed. But our perception often, remain old way of thinking. So that creates gap, reality and our perception. So now reality change. Our perception must catch up according to that new reality. So now whole world is just one entity there. So we must look from that level, then try. Now here education, now here vision is very, very essential. In order to develop vision, more holistic vision, education is the key factor. Actually, very purpose of education is reduce gap appearances and reality.
Your Holiness, my name is Steven and I'm studying psychology
You see?
and
Ecology, yeah.
psychology.
Psychology. Oh.
Yes, and it's a pleasure to ask you a question. Currently, it's often discussed in our university if our universities' canteen should serve less meat. It is well known that the production of meat is not ecological, but nevertheless, many students really like eating meat. So, what would you favor such a reduction of meat dishes, and what
Absolutely,
do you opinion
absolutely, absolutely. We really, you should try promotion of vegetarianism. It is very, very important. As you mentioned, besides sort of respect their life, but also ecologically, the beef farm, piggery, these things, ecologically also very, very harmful. Then economically, also quite sort of expensive. So in very, and ecology. So various sort of aspect. They reduce poultry or beef farm and piggery, and then fish. Many people see no sense of life, the fish. Just consider vegetable. But when we see after sort of caught, catching some fish, I myself also, you see, when I was in Lhasa, I love play with fish. Some pond, some fish there. I feeding them, and meantime catch, and they do that way. So clearly, you see, they also have the sort of feeling, pains and pleasure and fear. So that means they have the sort of experience of pain. So they're getting, like human being, very painful, like that. So here, myself, now one contradictory things. So appealing other people be vegetarian. I myself non-vegetarian. Of course, my own kitchen also, you see, I think twice a week, not every day, that we practice that.
Your Holiness, my name is Melissa Solothurman, and I study science of religion and theology. Well, I have got a notion that a lot of people are going to lose the motivation to change to a sustainable lifestyle because they feel too weak compared to the powerful system. How could we keep the creed that everybody has a hand in a sustainable future?
Existing modern education only oriented about economic value. So now in the education system, we must, because of the ed, we must include education about moral principles, moral values, moral ethics. Now the problem, any moral ethics based on religious faith, difficult to fit in secular education field. So now, in India, almost over 3,000 years, there's tradition, respect all religions and also respect non-believer. So that we call secular idea, so secular attitude. In the West, some of my friends some Christians, some Muslims, they have some sort of reservation about the word of secular. So they understand that secular means a little bit negative towards religion. I think obviously during French Revolution and the Bolshevik Revolution, you see some sort of tendency against religion. But actually, not truly against religion, but religious institution.
You already talked about it now, but my question is, do we still need religion? And which tasks in the process of achieving a sustainable future can religion perform?
Religion teaches us how to act hypocrisy. Saying very nice, love, God, God like that, but doing differently. So that clearly shows lack of moral principle. All these different religious traditions, actually, they strengthening these basic human values of moral ethics. But due to lack of full conviction about these moral ethics, mainly biological factor, due to lack of conviction, then religion, although you see very much emphasis these values, but because of that, not very seriously. That's just lip service. So therefore, now, firstly, in order to build believer, genuine, serious believer, we need secular teaching of secular ethics. Then those over billion human beings who have no religious faith, these also important part of humanity. They themselves also want a happy life. So they completely ignore about this inner value. If we try to introduce inner value through religious faith, they will not listen. So use common sense, use scientific findings, common experience, then we can give them some kind of deeper awareness about this value. Then they will follow.
You said you believe in the respect of life, so promote vegetarianism. Also, you said you believe in science. So as a medicine student, we use science every day for saving humans' life, but under the condition that those medics are tested at animals which are therefore harmed and killed. I would like your opinion on this because it's a personal problem of mine.
Firstly, when you carry some sort of experiment, highly necessary in order to gain some sort of knowledge how to deal with human illness. Really, they're highly necessary. There's no other way to experiment. Then that may be exception. And secondly, when you carry sort of experiment, must show love to this animal, respect. And if you see there's possibility to survive, then you should, after finish the test, you must take full care their life. I think that's very important. Should not treat it as a sort of vegetable. Should not do that. And also the abortion. Basically, killing, act of killing, should avoid. But particular case, if you see the baby is birth without sort of abortion, there's a lot of complication, a lot of suffering, herself or family, then some exceptional case must be there. And then shimedati, because misayati, mercy killing. You see what we call mercy killing. These also, you see, theoretically, exceptional case, okay. But you see, they generally, you see, they carry these easily and not good, clear. So we have to sort of, because of the study, the very carefully, the case to case, right? Like that.
We would like to give you a little present. And as you know, in Switzerland, there are two things that you can get as a present, either watch or chocolate. So this is the present. It is not a watch.
Oh, got it. What? Chocolate.
It's a little bit of chocolate. It has a history. Part of our university is now in a building that used to be a chocolate factory. And we made famous Toblerone chocolate. They're triangular chocolate. This is a small reminiscence of that time where we produced chocolate and not students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our best wishes go with you and your people.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.